Hey there guys, so I wanted to talk a bit about Oleksandr Usyk. Obviously last night he had one of the best wins of his career, absolutely destroying Marco Huck in Marco Huck's hometown to defend his WBO Cruiserweight World title. Now what I wanted to talk about in this video, and this is I think that this is a rather underappreciated achievement in boxing, and that is the ability to defeat your opponents, championship level fighters, in their backyard. Now, Oleksandr Usyk, obviously for those of you who have been following his career, you'll know that he travelled over to Poland in only his 10th professional fight to face seasoned champion Krzysztof Glowacki, who of course won the title from Marco Huck and defended it against Steve Cunningham. So obviously Krzysztof Glowacki had a heck of a lot of championship level experience and over 20 professional fights. So I think that was quite a feat, going over to Poland and facing a guy like that in his backyard and taking his title so fantastically. I think it was a very commendable achievement by Usyk. Also, he then went over to America, defeated Tobias Machunu, and defeated Michael Hunter, who was an undefeated American contender. Won both of the fights convincingly, looked very good, and yeah, did it on the road. Now, in his last fight, he's gone over to Germany to face Marco Huck, who's a seasoned veteran, a former long-time cruiserweight champion with 13 title defences, who is very well known and well established in Germany, beating him in his backyard, man. And I think that Oleksandr Usyk, this guy is without a doubt one of the most consistent road warriors in boxing right now. Now, it used to annoy me, and I'm from the UK, I actually used to live in Nottingham, and it used to annoy the shit out of me when I used to hear people call Carl Froch and people like that road warriors. I mean, that guy left the UK, what, 3 or 4 times in his whole career, and only did it when he absolutely had to. You know, whenever there was room for negotiation, he always tried to get home advantage. So anybody that calls him a road warrior is talking shit, okay? It's complete nonsense. But either way, you know, you've got these fighters from Eastern Europe, you know, Golovkin, Lomachenko, Kovalev, Usyk, who I've just talked about. These guys are the real road warriors in boxing, and the problem is, I don't think that these guys are getting enough recognition and enough appreciation for what they're doing on the road. I think that it has to be taken into account. You know, when we're talking about pound for pound lists, and we're talking about you know, rankings in these divisions, you know, we're talking about who has the most impressive resumes and the most impressive victories. I think we have to take into consideration the locations of these fights, because location is very important in boxing, okay? Some people perform better when they're in front of their crowds. Some people perform better on the road. But the majority of the time, if you've got the crowd on your side, and you know, and you're fighting in your backyard where you're used to training and when you're more established, it gives you a psychological edge, and of course it can give you a political edge too, because if the fight's close and the crowd are cheering for you, you guys know this shit already. Obviously you're likely going to get the decision, and I just think that, you know, when doing all these resume comparisons and when doing these pound for pound lists, let's take these road warriors into consideration. I mean, when people are talking about Andre Ward being pound for pound #1, guys, Andre Ward refuses to fight outside his home state, okay? The guy's never left America before. He's had some pretty tempting offers to leave America, and he won't do it because he knows that he just wouldn't perform outside of America, okay? So, you know, when we're talking about his victories over people like Kovalev and Kessler and all these other guys, you have to take into consideration that he might not have gotten those victories had those fights been in the opponent's backyard. I mean, if he had fought Mikkel Kessler over in Denmark, that would have been a disqualification loss for Andre Ward. If he'd have fought Sakio Bika in Sydney, again, that would have been a disqualification loss, or maybe even a decision loss, because Sakio Bika really gave it to Ward in that fight, and the referee protected Ward and let Ward get away with fucking bullshit. And yeah, I don't really like to pick on Andre Ward all the time, but, you know, even you could say the same about Crawford. I mean, I know Crawford did fight overseas against Ricky Burns, so he does have that on his record. But I mean, let's be real. Ricky Burns was not considered to be a serious champion. He was just a belt holder. You know, he won that title because of Frank Warren. He was actually handed that WBO belt at lightweight. He didn't even have to fight for it. Frank Warren literally called someone up and handed Ricky Burns that belt. It was ridiculous. But anyway, yeah, Terence Crawford, I mean, yeah, he's had some good world title unifications in the past year, but the fights were in his hometown. He got those fights in his hometown, you know, on his promoter's show. Obviously, Top Rank had his back, and you have to take that into consideration. I mean, for me, what Oleksandr Usyk's doing right now is far more impressive than what Terence Crawford's doing, than what Ward's doing. Oleksandr Usyk, I mean, look, Marco Huck is an elite fighter. Okay, Krzysztof Glowacki is an elite fighter. Michael Hunter is a serious contender. And yeah, to go to those guys' backyards and to school them the way that Oleksandr Usyk has, I think it's very commendable. And I really do think that Usyk is on his way. If he wins this tournament, let's say he defeats the Mairis Briedis Mike Perez winner, I don't think you could argue with having Usyk as pound for pound #1. I mean, with what he's doing, it's fantastic. Okay, fighting elite level seasoned champions and seasoned former champions and top contenders, and just really making these guys look terrible in the ring, and doing it in a division that's so stacked like the cruiserweight division. Let's say he goes on to win this tournament, he will have all 4 belts, and he'll have done it on the road against the best fighters in the division. Now, I think that's a heck of a lot better than what Andre Ward did in the Super 6, where he got every fight in his hometown, and half of the guys pulled out, and you know, not even all the belts were involved in the tournament. You know, you had Robert Stieglitz and Lucien Bute, who were the other title holders. They weren't even in the tournament. So yeah, I don't really take that tournament very seriously in terms of Andre Ward's legacy. You know, when you guys are trying to call him pound for pound #1, to me it doesn't make any sense. I think that Usyk already has a better resume than Ward, based on the fact that he's been on the road, based on the fact that he's won fights legitimately without cheating, and based on the fact that he's looked good doing it, and he's really challenged himself. So yeah, Usyk is a true road warrior. You know, Lomachenko too, doing everything on the road. These guys need to get more praise, and more acknowledgement for the fact that the achievements that they're gaining are not just being done in the ring. They're also overcoming things like politics, okay, because they're doing it on the road. You know, they're fighting where they're not comfortable. You know, they're fighting where their opponent's comfortable. So I think that has to be taken into consideration. So anyway, let me know what you guys think about this. I just thought it was an interesting topic to touch upon. I certainly think that you know, locations of fights need to be taken into consideration when we're doing resume comparisons and when we're talking about pound for pound lists and stuff like that. So anyway, let me know what you guys think, and thanks for watching.